This is actually quite an interesting observation. Now, I don't have any hard stats for the sales of flats or apartments throughout 2024 or the beginning of this year. They were quite hard to come by specifically. However, let me just give you my perspective. I think the issue could arise, or something to be aware of when purchasing flats or apartments, is the additional costs that you're going to incur. So you've obviously got your service charge, which is a monthly or annual fee based for the communal areas, the grounds surrounding it, any lighting, evacuation procedures, that sort of thing, that's typically paid to the management company. Which obviously, with costs and maintenance increasing, they can start to get quite high. You've also got the ground rent, which is when you're purchasing a leasehold property, the freeholder, essentially that owns the land that building is built on, takes an annual fee. Normally this is quite minimal, so £200-300 potentially, depending on the number of apartments on it. However, some of the historic leases have ground rent that could double every 10 years. Now, obviously, if you're talking properties that were built in the 70s, 80s, for example, that could have doubled quite considerably over that time. Now, there are laws in place now to prevent new apartment buildings having that issue. However, some historic leases still contain that. Now, when it comes to the service charge, this is somewhat unregulated. Again, it's getting a lot of attention at the moment, and they are trying to bring in steps to sort of aid that. However, there can be poor management as a result. You can have contingency fees in there that you're contributing in case anything ever goes wrong with the building's roof, for example. That's all going to start to compound and become big fees. I think another issue as well when it comes to that lease aspect, typically in the 60s, 70s, 80s, these leases would have 125 years on them. Now, obviously, when you start to think about the year that we're in now, they've got 60, 70 years left maybe. A mortgage is a harder to come by on properties of that age with that shorter term lease. But in my opinion, these are all contributing factors when it comes to purchasing an apartment, which could make a property purchase a little bit less desirable and therefore see the sales numbers on these a little bit harder to come by. Obviously, this is less impactful on the new build developments because there are certain laws and regulations in place now protecting these elements. However, with your more historic stock, so as I said, 70s, 80s, 90s buildings potentially as well, when it comes to flats and apartments, these are all majorly contributing factors.